Welcome to Trading Lounge and the Australian report for Wednesday, November the 30th. So I will look at the bigger picture and then the smaller picture. So in terms of the bigger picture, we can look at this as wave one up here, and then we can look at this, copy this and put this back in here for wave two. This is the pattern that the resources are giving me at this point, and I don't think that the banks are too far off either. So up for one, back for two, and the other one is that we top out here as a wave C of B. I won't go into all of that. So we're looking for this top here, so we'll be talking about that in a moment, and we can come down for wave C. So with the resources, we've just really been waiting for iron ore, gold, and the stocks that included in all of that, and silver and all those resource stocks, the material sector, to top out and then pull back. And so it's a bit difficult to go long in resources when they're going to top out a little bit further up and then pull back quite deeply, you know, as a wave two. So it's, yeah, what do you do? I mean, so yeah, and the other thing is, of course, that, you know, we can look at this being this move down here being bearish as well into wave C here, but that will sort of sort itself out shortly with the US markets, of course. So yeah, that's just going to take a little bit to figure out, but we won't have to wait that long for that to sort itself out. But still, there'll be a few steps involved over days and weeks ahead at certain points. So we've been counting 5 waves up here. Do we have a top in? Well, I think we can go a little bit higher, but we'll just need to cross certain bridges to prove all of that. So let's just go in and take a look. And we've just been working with the hourly chart, so I'll just cut to the chase. So we've been looking for, we've had, you know, wave 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and wave 1 here looks good. Wave 2 here looks good. 1, 2, 3, A, B, C for 4, or up for 1 and back for 2, something of that nature. Is that the top of wave 3 in here somewhere? Down for wave 4. Now the problem here is that we can call that the top in here. That's cool, but like we're doing with the sort of US markets, we're slightly different. We could also put wave 4 here as well, as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here, and then put this over here. So this would be the case if this top got breached here. So if that top gets breached, then we're going to have to look at that as wave 1 and 2 here, and 3, 4, and 5 coming up here for this, which kind of makes a little bit of sense, really, because I don't know if you've been looking at the US videos. I'm just going to put the Russell back here because I didn't put it away, but we're not really looking at that. I'm just clearing it out the way here. So and the NASDAQ, but the same thing, we're just waiting for this move down to finish and then rally back here. Now it could continue up here as a larger A, B, C for wave 4. That's the thing, you know, that's what we're trying to figure out, but we'll leave these lows exposed so we can look for short trade setups. You know, they may come or they may not, but we'll be ready for them if they do. It's that simple. Otherwise we look at this as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here, and then up again, and that's pretty much what we're talking about with the Australian markets, looking at it as an A and a B and a C here, except we're a little bit more advanced, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the upside. Yeah, so but still that doesn't really solve the problem. So coming over to the US markets, in one way or another, we've either got the low, this move down here, we've either got the low in, or we've got one more little low to go in here. But either way, not very far away, this is just 100 ticks, we'll be retesting that 4,000 here. So when we go up and retest this, obviously the ASX is going to, this could also go further up here as well. We've got the same issue going on. So yeah, so let's just clean that up a little bit and go to 50Ks. I think we'll do the trick, and we won't need all of that data in here once it loads up, of course. So we'll just go to here. So we've got wave 3 here. There's an A and a B and a C wave for wave 4, and we go up for wave 5, all right? Or we've got the top in place here already, and this is all down for wave 1 here, down for wave 1, little ABC to go back and then down again. So there's good cases for both of them. I won't go into all of that, but in both cases, they do rally back to the 4,000. So in that rally back to the 4,000, that means that this is likely to push up here. So I'll have to push this across over here. This was the count that we can still have this as a wave 1 down here, but we need to, and you could short this if that was breached, this low was breached, but we'll have a bit of a look at that in a moment. This is the count we basically had on the 100 tick chart, but on the 100 tick chart, I think I may have this wave 4 over here, but in retrospect, it's probably better sitting there on that and just looking at that 100 ticks now. Let's just get in a bit more data. So we don't need a lot of this now, do we? So we can take these away. That's all good. Don't really need that. That's all good. I'll leave these things here. Don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. Don't need these here, that's okay. Don't need these, that's okay. I'll just leave the others there in case I've got to muck around with them a little bit more. But so we're over here. This is where we were yesterday. We were looking for this to come down here. I haven't tidied this up, and then we're looking for a move back. This move back looks a bit impulsive to me. And then this here, this looks like an ABC pattern. So that looks like it's pulled back to the 61.8% too there at that point. So that's there. That's right on the 61.8%. So we can just drag that across to here somewhere. So that means that now that it's pulled back to that point, that means that we can, for whatever reasons, we can go short under here, right? So if that number here, the 72.30 becomes the retested resistance, we'll be going down to the 72 again at that point. However, this does appear to be 1, 2, 1, 1, 1 ABC for 2, 3, probably 4 and 5 in here. So it does look like an ABC pattern in here, and there's probably a couple of different ways we could look at it. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, doesn't really matter at that point, but I'll put that here and this over here. So this does look a bit like wave 1 and wave 2 here. That's what I'm sort of thinking, which would leave, if I can hijack these, that looks like 5 waves up there. I'll just bring this back over here. So it looks like we could go up here, and that would be in line with banks and a few other things at that point. So that means that if that needs to go back over here, that would be about right. That will go here. Sorry, I haven't cleaned all this up. So that really makes, I'll just remove these guys here and use these, I think. So I don't need that and that. Just remove that, put that there. I can use these little fellas. Just check on that in a moment. So for this to be true, then we need a little bit of evidence, because I don't want to have a look at this as down for 1, an A and a B and a C for 2, so to speak. So we do need this 250 here, the midpoint, which is the most important number from the 300 to the 200 here. 5 is the second strongest number after 1. So that 50, that 5 there, this is what it's all about here, really, isn't it? So it's been here long enough now. So it's either going to fail here, or it's going to find support on here and then move up. So you really need to be the judge of that. So what your job will be is that you have to find at what point that will be support. Right, and you want it as a tested support. So I suggest that, because this could be 5 waves up for the A wave, wave 1, an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave coming back here. Do you know what I mean? So that could come back here, and then that could come up here again, or this could just come straight up from here as well. But either way, what you're looking for is that little first high above the level. Now it may be in here, it may happen here, or it may happen over here, but that's what you need, because when it comes up here and creates that, it's coming back to retest it. It should retest it on lower volume. And if you can see on the cash market at least, or have a look, I mean, if you're trading CFDs here, you really want to be having the futures market and the cash market charts open in the same time frame or different time frames or whatever, so you can see how they, you know, where the inefficiencies are within that space. Yeah, so this does look a little bit impulsive down here. So anyway, just wait for the first high. That will be the trigger to go up at that point. Okay, so it's not support at the moment, is it? You know, and then you can also, you know, look at this point here to that top point there and do your sort of Fibonacci dance at that point, and just note what numbers they are at over here on your chart, because all CFD providers can all be a little bit different because they need to make the market, and how they calculate fair value is another thing. Yeah, so based on the S&P 500 retesting the 4,000, that should give us some sort of credibility to push to the upside. The other thing is that this here is the ABC pattern, taking this top out here, which that may or may not have done, would confirm that we need to go higher at that point. So it does look like we need to go higher. So yeah, tested support on that 72.50 is really what you're looking for, and that will take you up, and your target is the 73 at that point. Now obviously you'll be moving into group 2 as well, so the 72.65 is going to be you know, a struggle, but the fact that it's testing it again over here is a good thing. Yeah, so yeah, everything is looking pretty good at this point. Just do one more little thing and just have a little look at this. That's probably why it's struggling right there. 61.8% here and 78. So it's a, you know, to get support above the 61.8%. It's tried to do it here, failed. Tried to do it here, failed. So third time lucky, you reckon? So we'll see how that's what you need, you know. So you'll be getting support on that, will be above the 61.8%. So that's looking good at that point. So a little bit more to the upside. So that means that the banks, they need to continue to push up into the 1110 at that point. Once this has moved up here, this is where the situation comes in. You know, do we have this as the ABC for wave 2 here, or wave 4? But yeah, and then the long trade happens from that point, if that's indeed going to be the case. So once we've got that in play, then, you know, we can look to be long at this point. You know, I mean, as WD Gann would say, double tops are never the end of the trend, but it still doesn't mean that they can't pull back, you know what I mean? But it does, it just means it's not the end of the world at this point, you know. So yeah, that's sort of where we are. And look, I have to say that the resources are in the same boat here as well. Let's just check on, I was looking, let's just get this into the fold. This is Big Ben here, so Bendigo. So yeah, still need to go up here a little bit. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get that sort of happening. So we can trade it when it comes back after this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I have to say I like this here. But, you know, the reason I like it for is that that we're getting 5 waves off the low here, so it's nice and clean, you know, because this correction would be some sort of A wave here, B wave here, because it looks like it's in 5 waves here, and then a C wave here for that. So this would be an A and a B and a C wave here, you know. Now this is a spiky top over here. I could bring that into the fold as well, but it doesn't really matter. The beautiful thing about this is that we are seeing the first impulse wave off the low here, because if we get 5 waves here, that means that we get another 5 waves, you know, later on over here somewhere, you know. It might only just bring us up to here and the whole thing can crash again, but we would need to see that. But because we've got 5 here, we get 5 over here. That's the beauty of it, you know. So that's the banks, but they do have a little bit more. All of them would probably have a little bit more to the top there. I know that Macquarie's were still needing to get to the top there as well. Before we go there, we want to have a look at, where's my list here? Just bear with me a second. I'll just get my little list out to the side so I don't miss anything with all of these. So after CBA, we look at iron ore and then the lithium stocks. So with iron ore here, this is just 100 ticks, but this is the low here. So I've been counting up here and then we've been counting up here, and this is kind of where the I think there's a bit more to this. I'll have to go back over this, but anyway, still pushing up with this. But the thing is that with BHP, Rio and FMG and the likes, what we're doing, and gold is a bit the same and silver's the same as well, and that is that the move up here, once it finishes, we've either got wave 1 and we pull back for wave 2, and then we go into a big bull market at that point. We either do that, or this move up here is, you know, wave C of B, and then we come down from this point. All right, so that's the two things. So in going up here, I was thinking that this would be wave 1 and 2, and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here, and then we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I don't think we're at the top of this one here yet. So we'll probably end up, hopefully, we might even end up for BHP, we might even end up a little bit higher. What did US BHP do last night? Oh, that's up 2, so that's good. So that's going to be up here, so that's positive for that. So it's the same boat with the US BHP. So look, we either put wave 4 here, I'll just have a look at Rio, or we look at this here as wave 4. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we go up here further, and then I think we still need this other wave 4 here, and then wave 5 up here. So I can put this up here and just draw back. It'd be nice if we could work with this number here. The bigger the number, the better, because it just gives us more gravitas in what we're looking at that point. And this wave 2 at this point would come back to this wave 4 here. That would be at that point. So I'm thinking that we'll go 1, 2, 3 up here, 4 and 5 up here for this, and then we'll hit the 61.8%, and we'll have some sort of ABC pattern here, and then we'll push up for 5, and then we'll have this larger ABC pattern like this, and then hopefully we can push up at that point. I mean, we'll still be stopping there for a little while, but yeah, I mean technically at this point here, but we'll be able to improve on that as well. So we don't have to worry about that too much. But, you know, as I said before, we can trade long in these. We're seeing increased volume here, so that's all good in line with the coming out of this correction over the last 3 bars here. So that's all good. So that puts us in the right place at this point. And let's just have a little look at the weekly volume here for a moment. Well, let's just clear some of this up as well. Let's get past this big volume spike here. That will make things a little bit easier. It's a bit of overkill, isn't it? So that was that one. So that's been on lower volume because that was corrective. This is a week. That's like 7 days. So that's corrective. So that's good. So it would be good if this week finishes on higher volume here, but fifth waves are not that, coming up into a fifth wave are not that important. And if it is on lower volume than this bar here, if we finish on Friday and this volume bar is lower than this one, that means that that would help confirm that we're gonna come back over again on this, you know. So if I go back to the daily chart, because if it is lower volume, it will tell us that we're gonna be hitting the top of wave 3 here, and then we'll be folding back into wave 4 at that point, you know, based on the volume, you know. So that will be good. That's good. So that will be there. So you can go long in all of this. Everything's in place. We're in a trend. We're in the later stages of a trend. But yeah, so you know, if you want to do some short-term trading, then you just keep your stop under here for a while. If you want to survive this one, well, then you'll have to keep your stop further away. But yeah, it could be the start of a beautiful relationship if this, you know, if this is wave 2 over at this side. But yeah, once we clarify things on the US stock market being a big bearish pattern or a big bullish pattern, then that's going to be helpful as well. But yeah, and this is the same for Rio Tinto as well. So as wave 1 here and 2 here, then 1, 2, 3, 4, and going up for 5. Can we look at that as 1 and 2 in here maybe? We'll check on that later. It doesn't really matter. It's going to stall at, you know, 1 is the strongest number, so it's going to stall at 10 there. It's going to give us all of that. But yeah, hopefully we can look for this to be back for wave 2 on the iron ore front. You know, it's good to see Anthony, whatever, as you know, having a bit of a chin wag to Xi. So things might sort of happen, not in a rush though, but they tend to move slowly. But it's the start of a relationship. So this wave B is going to be here actually, so I'll just leave that there to haunt us there. I mean, I wish we made a low here, like a nice clear low over this one, because then it'll give me 5 waves to the upside, but I can't do that at the moment. This could be part of this. The relationship's not that crash hot, you know, a bit short to a bit long here in that. But yeah, so it's quite bullish really, I imagine. I'm thinking that we're bullish, you know, I like to think that. FMG did make a new low here, so that's good. It didn't really give us a nice 5-wave structure down here though, and it could be counted in different ways, but I think it's a wave 3 here, then an A, B, C for 4 and down for 5, and even the wave 5 is not that crash hot either in terms of 5 waves, you know, but it did make a nice clean low here. So that's good. Didn't pull back to our target area, but the same thing applies here. We'll be able, it's good that we're working with the 20 here. This will be a good area to work with, you know. But like I say, the haunting thing with all this, which we've looked at before, and I don't want to rave on about it, is that, you know, we never pull back into this space here. But I can see that we can call this wave, this sharp wave here, so it makes a nice wave 2, makes a nice wave A too, by the way. But we just need to see if we're going to get the 5 waves up here and then come back at this point. You know, that's the horror story of it all, and then up from that point. Or we just, you know, have that 5 waves there, and in a nutshell, if we take out the top after some pullback here, then we're good to go as well, you know. So it all comes into over this point over here, and understanding if the US is going into bearish mode. Okay, so with US gold here, we've got you know, we're looking up this as a 1, 2, 3 is the best count. So I'm looking back at wave 4. I understand this move down here can be counted as 5 waves, so we can look at it as wave 1. This pattern here is kind of telling me we're going to the upside here. We've got a little impulse wave here. We could look at this as 5 waves here for wave 1, and A, B, C for wave 2 here. So all I can say here is that well, I should just go to here, but you could find a way in early if you wanted to. Taking that top out there, that would give us wave 3, 4 and 5 here. So that's really in line with the indices in, you know, the Australian market that we looked at, the ASX, in that regard, you know. But it has to take out that top, you know, because otherwise we could look at this as wave 1 to the downside here, put wave 2 here as an ABC for wave 2, pulling back to the 61.8%, which is about there, then down for 1 and back for 2. It's just, it looks like this is in 5 waves here. So at the same time, we could also look for this to be taken out here as well. Logically speaking, would come down here further, but that's where it is at the moment. And silver's the same, so you can look at silver in the same light as well. But we'll look at that today in the what's the name. But the same thing applies to silver here as well. If you're a silver man, then you can take that one out there, and we'll look at this here as an A and a B and 1 and 2 in here, 3, 4, 5, it's better count, and 1 and 2 here, nice ABC. It looks like an ABC pattern here, so it's looking bullish here. So we can take silver up to $23 at this point and look at this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. When we get up to here, it's another story. Do we have wave 1 or do we have wave 4? That's the thing at that point, okay? And that's that. But it does give you some long trade setups, you know. This is GDX here. So with GDX here, we're, as you may know, we've been looking at this as a bullish light as well. It could still be an A wave here, a B wave here, and a C wave coming up to where wave 3 is and fail. And there's other ways to look at this as well. I've got this as 1 and 2 here, and then 3, 4, 5 here. So this would really be like, this would be the same pattern as we just looked at with BHP and Rio and so on and so on, right? So we can go up here and then we can come back again at this point. Now, I've had this green thing over here, that's where we would go long. But I also know too, if we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here, we could buy wave 2 back. 50-60% would be close to $25. So we could buy back in that box here. The other way to look at this here is wave 1 here, wave 2 here, and this 5 waves move up here as also wave 1 here. And then we would have wave 2 that would pull back from the $30 back to the $25 is roughly the 61.8%. So if you took a small position here, then you would need to keep the stop out of the way here, and we'll be going for the longer term. So it's very high risk. So make sure that if you wanted to take a trade here, because we may not pull back here, it might just sort of hug the 30 and continue to the upside. That was the other side of it. Or you could trade from here and go to 30 and get out. But either way, whichever way I look at the wave count, it does appear that if we put wave 1 here on top of wave 3, we'll end up coming back close to the, let's say, $26 mark at least, $26.50 at least. Okay, so $26.50 at least would be there. So that's there. But if you wanted to build a longer term position in gold, then this was the place to, we've talked about being long in NCM anyway, further down here. But, you know, if you wanted to build in a very small sort of position at that point, but otherwise over here and back on here on this one. And, yeah, so also I'm just looking at Barrick Gold as well. So there's different ways I could look at Barrick Gold. I could put wave 4 over here, but it does make a nice wave 3 to this point as 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, nice strong third wave here. And then look at this as an A wave, a B wave and a C wave to where wave 4 is here. So it could just sort of collapse from this point. But if it does take this top out, because you can kind of see here we've got 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, an impulse wave here. So if it does take this top out here, then it's going to be bullish at that point. So I was just looking around the block a little bit. This is slightly different from the other markets, but it's just sort of much the same pattern as GDX. Well, GDX is derived from these sorts of things. So yeah, so that's that at that point. We will be putting we will be looking at trades again when we get to our new website. This is just the social thing for the website, which is quite good in that you'll be able to communicate, get support here, join different groups in here. You'll be able to upload your charts and communicate to other people privately, or you'll be able to upload your own charts and things in here as well. So you can just do chat and upload videos and charts in here and communicate. So it's going to be quite sort of helpful, because then because we've got some really good Elliott people, in TradingLounge, and it would be great for those guys to share, their counts on things. And if you're into foreign exchange or stocks or whatever, you can just go into different groups here and stuff, So that will be there. But what I wanted to talk about was over to the stock trades area here. Now, if you've been with TradingLounge a while, then you'll probably remember this here. So this is where we're going to put stock trades for a while. But what I wanted to do with this, just while we're here, is this particular program here is written in a very old language, and we're going to have some people in Sydney redesign it, do the UI and UX on it. And once they've done all that, which will be the end of January, then we'll get it rewritten in JavaScript, in React probably, and then make it a lot better. But we're going to be using this for a little while so folks can have their opinions on it, because when the people that redesign it, they'll be wanting to talk to some of the folks that are using this just to get their opinion on certain things. So this will all change. So we'll be using it in the new year for a little while, but come sort of mid next year, then the whole thing's going to be sort of upgraded and so on. But in the meantime, we will use it, and we will put trades in here. And so just as an example here, these are open positions. I'm just testing it at the moment, because I haven't tested it. I've just been putting the trades in here, but I haven't tested it with right through to the summary and the portfolios and everything just yet. But and I may not. I don't want to spend thousands of dollars on it, like fixing these up here when the whole thing's going to be redesigned anyway. That's going to cost an arm and a leg, and anyway, but still, we can put the trades here and we can send them straight through to the portfolio, or you can send them to the calculator first. So you'll just send it straight to the calculator here. You can create your own portfolios here, all different, as many as you like. But once that's set there, it will come through into the populate into the calculator here. So the entry price is 28.13, so to speak, and the trade is long. Stop loss will be here. You can risk whatever you're going to be risking. If you should really have a $30,000 account. So if you're risking, a percentage of that, this is what it cost you in shares. This is what it cost you in CFDs. On the CFDs, I'm just using IG markets. And I'm not saying IG is the best or anything like that. And I don't get any money for sending anybody anywhere or clipping anybody's tickets and all that sort of stuff. I just don't do that. But I'm going to put, we used to have all the providers in here, but it was just too much work for me. So I'm just going to put one CFD provider in there, but eventually you'll be able to edit your own costs, like the commissions in here. You'll be able to edit these yourself and those sorts of things. But yeah, so once you've got all this sort of sorted out here, you put in your, your price targets and all that sort of stuff, and all that yada 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 stuff, and your ATRs, and then you can just trade this trade. I mean, one day you'll be able to push it through to your broker, but not just yet. They'll push it through into mark to market, so you could load up lots of trades here and then push them all through into your portfolio at that point, and so on. So it's really designed for CFDs and stock trading, but with some really good analytics in there, just not a normal dumb portfolio, so to speak. Anyway, that's that. I just wanted to update a little bit on that. And yeah, so that's Barrick Gold and Newcrest Mining. So with Newcrest Mining here, it's very much like, you can kind of consider it the same count as BHP and Rio and that, you know. So so we can look at it, I'm just really looking for a classic trading levels pattern here. I'm looking at something that will either go an A wave, a B wave, or the B wave can be over here for this, the B wave here, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's either going to come to here and then fade and drop from that point. That'll be the end of it. And the same with US spot gold. Or we're going to be pushing up into 5 waves up here, you know. So, but anyway, we still need to push up higher here. Wave 4 could get a bit more complicated here, but I think we're pretty much in at that point. So anyway, we've still got, this number here is not support. So that's the question that I always ask myself, and you should ask yourself as well, is that when you go to trade, look for the closest largest number, and it might be somewhere between 18 and 19. So then you know, well, 18.5 is the second strongest number, so 50 is important. Do I have support on that if you're going to trade in that area? So every number's got its pecking order. So because you need to know where to put your stop, really, to manage your exposure, because it's really about how you know, it's just about how much you know, it's about managing the risk more than anything else. So but this is not support yet, so we're not there yet for that. And over to the currencies. So with the US dollar here, we've got a wave 3 and 4 and 5 here, but we haven't really made a new low here. So I'm wondering if the 5 waves that I've got here is actually just wave 1 here and going back for wave 2 here as an A wave, because A waves are normally quite sharp and fast, and then the B wave, and then the lazy C wave here. So the lazy C wave coming into play here. So at the 61.8. So I'll just see how this sits here. If it fades here, or if it goes back. The other thing is that it can go back up here for a larger wave 4. So a bit complicated, but yeah, I'll just do that at the moment, so because it's important. So we could either fail here and come down, so I need to keep an eye on that, or we can come up to this point here and fail, so that would be important at that point. So just on the daily chart, it means that we need to expand the 5 waves up, because what we were just looking at then is having wave 1 here and wave 2 here, because this will affect the Australian dollar as well and everything else, and the indices and everything else. So this is how we were looking at it here, and still are, and we can look at that as wave C and finished in here. But we need to see a nice bigger impulse wave to prove that that's a low in here, because if it's not a low, then we have to go to the next step and look at this as wave C over here, look at this as put this as wave 1 over here, as this wave 1 and 2 here, and 1 and 2 here, and then put wave 4 over here. So if it doesn't fail here as 1 and 2 here and down for 3, 4, 5, then and it moves up higher, then we'll look at this as wave 4 up here. But we want to see what this looks like. Is it 5 waves up here, or is it corrective up here, you know? So there's a lot of work to do here yet to confirm that we got a low in here at this point, because if we do have a low in here and this is going to go up here, then it's going to push the stock markets down, and going to push everything else down as well at that point, you know. So the US dollar is quite high in terms of historical you know, things. So that, you know, I don't know where they want to hold it to, you know, that the Feds will hold it to some point. You know, they got, you know, it's their product, they will control it to do what they need to do with it to a point. It's not the euro dollars where it's not regulated, you know. Everybody's copied the Square of London, haven't they? The Square Mile of London, where there's no regulation. And that's why you got all the tax havens all built off that. And they think crypto's a problem. Okay, anyway, so the Australian dollar. I think that I think we could be in a wave 4 here as well. Starting from the low here, we can look at this as 1 and ABC for 2 here, and 3, 4 and 5 here. A bit dodgy, but we can look at it as an A wave, a B wave here, and going up for the C wave here. Or we can look at it as 1 and 2 and going up for the 3rd wave here, and then the 4th wave over here. This move here can be counted as bearish, but we could look at it currently as an A wave, a B wave and a C wave here, and then up for 1 and back for 2 and continuing to move up. There is in counting that as 5 waves down here, it does overlap a little bit. So this little top here overlaps with this first 5 waves here, this move here. So it could make this an A and a B and a C. So if it does make that as an A and a B and a C, well, then we could end up with a triangle pattern here as well, as an A wave, a B wave, a C wave, a D wave, and an E wave here, and then pushing up here. So that's also possible as well. In terms of being short here, then if we've got a top in play already over here, like we talked about yesterday, is then we can just simply short below this point here. But I would be a little bit careful about that in case we're stuck in the triangle pattern and that just gets nipped out at that point. We don't have a clear pathway on the US dollar just yet as well. So this can just have to be careful about going long too. That can push up there and then push back into here in 3 waves as well before going higher in all of this. So it could be something like this. So just be a little bit mindful about that. That's just the S&P, but the S&P, this what blue wave 4 here is a little bit like the S&P here on the futures market, also with an A and a B and a C as wave 4 here as well. We may be able to get a triangle out of this as well, who knows, but yeah, it's looking like 5 waves down here, but there won't be much difference between a triangle and a wave 4 here anyway, because the wave 1 and 2 will be, you know, won't be much different from the end of wave E in the triangle anyway. So but we're just trying to figure out this here. That's the main thing with the S&P, but we do know that the market will rally here, so we can have one more little low here, but then basically pushing up to this point. So this pushing up here will push the Australian dollar up, will push the Australian banks up, it'll push basically everything up, right? So that's that. I forgot to talk about the lithium stocks. They're still under pressure to the downside. Basically, they'll all be the same. Yesterday we were looking at this being wave 1 and 2 in here somewhere there, and wave 3 here on 2, 3, and wave 4 here. So wave 4 looks like it's in play here. Wave 4 might get a bit sort of uglier on all of that, but then wave 5 here. So they're all going to be basically doing that to a point. So we still got more downside to come here while the US dollar is pushing to the upside. Okay, so while that US dollar pushes up, then this is going to put pressure on these guys pushing down. I just want to have a look at the yields as well for a moment. Just want to keep a bit of an eye. Nothing really happening there as well on the yields. So anyway, all good. So thanks for tuning in. Cheers.